Hey ATM family, we made it! The first episode of my podcasting video. Woo-hoo! Yes! And to kick things off, my guest this week is the one, the only, Dr. Jim Sowell. Wait, was that too much? Well, anyway, he has all the goods on what really goes on in space. Like, are there really aliens? But what about this multiverse? Is that really a thing? I don't know. And can humans really survive life on Mars? Maybe? So, sit back, relax, and grab a snack. Yeah, grab a snack. But just don't go anywhere. See you on the other side.
Welcome to All Things Madison, the podcast exclusively for kids. Sure to tickle your funny bone while learning something new at the same time. You'll hear from talking bears,
Why that is such a big deal, I'll never know.
laughing unicorns,
You guys are so funny.
farting sloths,
Hey, watch it. I'm lactose intolerant. I'm only gassy when I drink milk. Yeah, we're part of the show too. Even the folks in the dollhouse have a part.
Bonjour. Hi.
Hey guys!
Hi, y'all.
Hello? Don't forget about the rest of us.
Here's your host, Madison Lauren. Please enjoy the show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm your host, Madison Lauren, and welcome to my show. As you probably have noticed, we have made some big changes to the show, including my stuffed animals. You know, they wanted in on the action, because everyone knows stuffed animals talk too. We also have some exciting new skits, segments, and interviews with people who have the most exciting jobs. And of course, I'll still bring you the coolest reviews on books and movies, but now we'll be adding games, toys, and more. And I will have some of my famous friends dropping by to discuss stuff kids actually want to talk about, like how to make super slime. Oh, you might see my dad from time to time. Yep, he's the producer and he helps out a lot. And we're supported in part by Kids Listen. Now, if you'd like to support us, you can simply go to patreon.com/allthingsmadison. We update the page periodically. Oh, and if you guys are enjoying the show, kindly leave us a 5-star review and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each episode and our most recent content. Now, on to the show. Hi, Mr. Sowell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very glad to be a participant.
So can you tell us where we are and what your job is?
Sure. We are at the Georgia Tech campus observatory, which is on the top of one of the tallest buildings on the campus. We're about 7 stories up right now. And we have the telescope, and see, it's kind of cloudy today and it's daytime, so we really only use the telescope at night. But I am the director of this observatory. I had it built around 2007 because I knew that Georgia Tech students, if they're going to do astronomy, they need a telescope. And so, but instead of using this telescope to do research most of the time, I tend to have what we would call outreach. So it would be children's groups and the general public and my students have to come and look through the telescope and see the objects we're talking about.
So how long have you been working here?
So I came to Georgia Tech in 1989. I got my PhD from the University of Michigan. And in 1992, I went to the chair of the physics department and I said, you need an astronomer teaching your astronomy courses. And he goes, you're right. And I was hired that afternoon and I started teaching. And then eventually I transitioned. So now I get to do astronomy full time.
First question. What is an observatory and what's the difference between it and a planetarium?
Okay, so an observatory has telescopes. So astronomers are different from other students in that we don't do experiments. We observe. So I can't go to that star and scoop it out. But what I can do is observe it with a telescope. And so that's what the observatories are for. Planetarium Georgia Tech doesn't have yet. So maybe someday we'll have one. A planetarium, if you've been in that, it's a big dome and they'll project stars and maybe movies up onto it. And it's a great way to learn, especially if it's cloudy like it is right now. You don't have to worry about the rain. But and here in Atlanta, the biggest observatory, biggest telescope is at Fernbank, and they have the biggest planetarium.
So can you tell us a little more about the telescopes?
Sure. This is a very special telescope, and it's much bigger than what a person would own. But here in Atlanta, it's actually not the biggest. Now, when we describe telescopes, we talk about how big is the bucket. So we would talk about the diameter. So I've got some telescopes that are this big, and I've got other telescopes. This one is about this big. And so it is a bucket for collecting, not rain, but light. And then it takes all of that light and puts it into your tiny little eye. And so that's why you can see fainter objects, because it's like you've got this gigantic eye now. And so this telescope can see pretty faint. The problem is that we're in downtown Atlanta, and it is so bright here that kind of fogs it and prevents us from going as faint as some other places. Again, I want people, when they come to the observatory, to go home excited about what they saw. If they really saw it, like craters on the moon, or rings around Saturn, or moons around Jupiter.
We'll return in just a moment.
Okay, folks, let me tell you about our recent trip to Puerto Rico. Spring break 2022. We stayed in a 19th floor high-rise located directly on the beach with great views and its very own swimming pool. We traveled into the mountains where we had some delicious chicken gizzards and beef stew. We played in the ocean at La Cuya Beach, made new friends with our island auntie Sarah, Chef Poopy, Miss Carol, the rainforest lady, and Mr. John Lee Dumas, who owns my newest best friend, Gus, the golden doodle. Aw, so cute. Well, now you can get in on the action too. If you never tried Airbnb, it's time to start. Use our promo code bit.ly/expert process Airbnb and book your travel today and save up to $50 on your first booking. That's promo code bit.ly/expert process Airbnb.
And now back to the show.
So can you tell us something a little about the light pollution and having a telescope in the land?
Yes, light pollution is our enemy. Okay, so this is the kind of telescope that I want people to come to. So you try to put it where there are a lot of people. But where there are a lot of people, there's a lot of lights, a lot of buildings. And so if you're in downtown Atlanta, there's a lot of lights that are also shining up into the sky. And there are nights you can see spotlights reflecting off of clouds. And so we're having to look through all of that. If we were out in a dark location where there aren't any buildings or lights from apartments or such, then it's a much darker sky, and it's like there are fewer clouds. You could look through and you could see a lot fainter objects. So the more that you can see, then you have a bigger selection. And so that's what the light pollution does. We can only see certain types of objects. But we're still fine for seeing the moon and the planets. It's going to be galaxies that give us a problem.
Okay, next question. What made you originally interested in studying the stars?
There were a couple of things. I was born in 1958, which was when the space race, the space age started. I watched too much television, so I watched rocket launches. The TV shows Lost in Space and Star Trek first came on when I was about 6 or 7. I asked Santa Claus when I was 7 years old for a telescope. I had to spell it out. And I got one. It was a little tiny tube, and I could look at the moon with it. And I also have to give some credit to my mother, who was a third grade teacher. And so she would bring me books from the school library all about the planets and the stars. And so it just kind of continued to develop. It wasn't until I was in college that I was going, okay, I don't want to do these other jobs that everybody told me were so good. I want to do astronomy. And so from that point forward, I've considered myself, and I've been doing astronomy.
Huh. It sounds like you started your career at a young age.
I did, and I married a woman who figured out she was an artist at a very young age. So the two of us have always kind of known what's been special for our lives, and a lot of people today don't necessarily know what they want to do or have one thing, and they seem to be happy doing many different things. And it's like, good for them. I'm glad they can be happy and will get to do a variety of things. But that wouldn't have worked for me. I'm an astronomer. So I love looking up at the night sky, to be in awe, reading these things. That's what excites me.
So what does it take to become an astronomer?
Well, it will take some schooling. You've got to be good in sciences and in math. And not only do you have to go to college, then you're going to have to get a PhD. There just aren't many jobs. And that's if you want to do astronomy. Now, you can be well trained after going to college, and you can say, oh, I want to be a programmer, or I want to work in a kind of lab. So you'll be very good at what you're doing, but you're not doing astronomy. But to be an astronomer, it's kind of like in the medical profession. You got to go to college, then you got to go to med school, then you got to be an intern for a while, and then finally become a resident somewhere. So it takes a while. So you need a passion and a persistence, okay, so that you can get through it. But the payoff is great.
So the astronomer I know best is Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And if you ever met him,
Yes, I have met him once. He came to Georgia Tech, and we had a nice conversation. I was in a small group with him. He's exactly the way he appears on television. He gets very excited. He loves what he's doing. And I'm very envious of him. I would like to be doing the kind of outreach he gets to do. And I'm hoping that this podcast of yours will get me going in that realm, and you'll have to worry about me as competition.
don't worry, we'll get you into the movies.
Good. That's good.
We'll return in just a moment.
He's back!
They call me S-L-E-E-P-Y Steve. I kinda got the boys and girls in me.
Get ready for the return of the funniest kid alive with the fantastical adventures of Sleepy Steve.
E-E-P-Y Steve.
Only this time bigger and better. And now he's animated. The story opens up as we discover Gramps has moved in with Steve and his mom, and soon learn that Steve's notorious sleep disorder isn't what it seems. When he dozes off, he becomes a kind of superhero saving the people of the world from some really bad people while they're asleep in the dreamscape. But with Gramps' memory fading and fast, there's a race against time. Steve must find out as much as he can about his new power. How does he control it? What are his limits? And what to make of all the crazy situations he finds himself in? And most of all, can he stop the mysterious evil villain Ratface with powers he hasn't mastered yet?
S-L-E-E-P-Y Steve.
We love Sleepy Steve. He's the only boy for me.
If you don't know about Sleepy Steve, get caught up by ordering your copy of Book 1 of The Fantastical Adventures of Sleepy Steve on Amazon now at bit.ly/Sleepy Steve Book. And join the fan club at facebook.com/The Sleepy Steve to stay up to date on the launch of the coolest cartoon series coming to a screen near you.
Don't worry, I'll be back next year.
And now back to the show.
And now it's time for Pit Talk of the Week. Do you know what that is? Yep, you guessed it. I picked my top 3 favorite TikToks to share with you. Coming in at number 3 is Peace Puppy 777. Aww, who doesn't love 2 cute puppies? Well, except for the one doing all the biting. That's why you're number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Miss Giveaway, the drumming baby. Do your thing, girl. I ain't mad at you. coming in at our number 1 spot is K Lifestyle with that Afro beat. Talk about girl power. And if you have a favorite TikTok, copy the link and send it to my dad at smith.durante@gmail.com. And be sure to reach out to each of our contestants and show them some 18 family love. Oh, and tell them that the cutie from All Things Madison sent you. And now it's time for hashtag JOD or Joke of the Day. Greg, are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, here we go. This is the Space Edition.
I like that.
Okay, first up, who in the solar system has the most loose change?
Loose change? I don't know.
The moon. It keeps changing quarters. Your turn, Greg.
Me? I get to tell a joke?
Yes, you're part of the segment now. Well, as long as you behave.
I'll behave. Okay, I think I've got one.
Make it a good one.
All right. No pressure. I'm just the first one in my family to do this sort of thing.
Greg?
I mean, it's me and my 6 brothers and 5 sisters, and we're tight litter, you know.
Greg, you promised.
Oh, yes, of course. Back to the joke. What should you do when you see a green alien?
Run the other way?
Wait until it's right. Get it? Like a ripe banana?
That was a good one. Okay, last one. What did the doctor say to the rocket ship?
You got me.
Time to get your booster shot. Greg, what is it?
I don't get it.
Booster shot? Like a booster?
Nope. Still don't get it.
Oh, Greg.
You mean as in a COVID booster shot?
Right.
Right. Gotcha. I knew all along.
Oh, I was worried there for a sec.
Why?
Because you know you're not real, right?
Hey, watch it.
I mean, there's nothing in there but fluff.
I resent that. Why does everyone always say that? I have a heart too, you know.
Oh, Greg, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Well, folks, that's it for hashtag JOD or Joke of the Day. Until next time,
Keep laughing.
Hey, Dandy, let's test you on something about.
Okay.
Do you know what a star is?
Gas.
You're right. It's a hot ball of gas.
No. I mean, I've got gas. Too many green mangoes last night.
Excuse you.
Sorry.
Well, you looked up, I guess, because that's exactly what a star is. What about a comet?
Dust and ice?
Wow, you're on a roll.
Yeah, they say us sloths are smarter than we look. But I think I look pretty smart.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
What do you say, sweetie?
Well, comets are really old, like ancient, and they're known for their long streaming tails as they orbit the sun.
That's very informative. But useless information.
Hey, that's not true. It's good to know this stuff, you know. Plus, it's kind of required for school.
Now we're talking.
That's it for this week's Something About the Space Edition. Bye! And now it's time for Around the World in 180 Seconds with our friend Leela and her mom Lindy, all the way from India. As you know, they have one of the coolest podcasts for kids in maybe the universe. So I figured, why not invite them on the show? Be sure to check out the full episodes of Newsy Paloozy wherever you get your podcasts. Lila and Lindy, take it away.
This week on Newsy Paloozy Quick Dip,
From the gun debate in the U.S. to lunar soil being used to grow plants,
robots used in medicine,
and the possibility of a microchip going inside Australian football.
and a heavenly pit discovered in China. And we're not talking about armpits.
No.
No.
It's a packed quick dip of news this week, folks. Let's dive on in.
First, in the US, where the gun debate is raging once again after a spate of horrible shootings.
The biggest gun group, the National Rifle Association, holds their annual conference in Texas, a few hundred miles away from one of the worst attacks.
While protesters made their anger heard outside. Now, the question is, does the gun debate in America leave you scared and confused?
It does to me.
Well, we broke down the arguments and decoded the debate in this week's podcast, so be sure to hear the whole episode.
And don't worry, we kept the horrible details out. In more pleasant news, soil from the moon has been used to, get this, grow some little seedlings, which I like to call space sprouts.
Researchers from the University of Florida used just a tablespoon's worth of moon dust collected during the early Apollo missions to grow a type of cress.
Amazing.
Oh, the amazement doesn't stop there.
A recent UK study shows that robotic surgeons have cleared benefits. OMG! Let me fix your guts.
Okay, we're not talking about sci-fi robots that roll into surgery, but basically surgery robotic assistant. The surgeon has high-tech gloves and a visor with 3D vision for magnification,
So the robot only acts out the movements of the surgeon.
making smaller, more precise incisions or cuts, which means less bleeding and faster recovery time.
And in sports news,
Authorities in the Australian Football League, or Aussie Rules Football, are mulling over, that means thinking about,
putting microchips inside their footballs. Wow.
which would be able to check whether a ball hit the post, was touched, or went out of bounds.
My new identity is Post. Not sure where that would leave the referees though. And finally, a huge sinkhole has been discovered in southern China.
And when she says huge, she means 630 feet deep. That's like a 58-story high building.
That's really tall. But the really cool bit is that geologists who study the physical Earth are super excited about all the unknown species of plants and animals it might be home to.
I'm not sure I'd be very excited about that, to be honest with you. For more on all of these stories, do listen to our full podcast, the full episode of Newsy Paloozy.
See you next week in the coolest world news food for curious kids and adults.
Bye!
Welcome to the first episode of Roblox.
Roblox? Really? I can't wait! I didn't know we were doing that here.
We're not. Daddy?
Oh, my mistake. Welcome to the first episode of Word Blocks.
That's better.
Well, this should be fun. Maybe you should tell them what it is.
Right. Well, this is a game where you get to play along.
Each episode, you'll learn a new word
And the root word for the word.
and get a chance to give your own answer at the end.
Right. For a chance to win. And we also have some cool stuff like stickers, posters, and tickets, or whatever our sponsors are doing at the time.
Should we get started?
Go for it, Charlie.
Today's word is astronomer. Do you know what an astronomer is?
Yep, it's a person who studies the stars.
And the root word would be word blocks.
Aster, which comes from the Greek language and means star. Okay, now it's your turn. Use the pointer below to click the correct answer for the following question. Anna, our resident AI, take it away.
Thank you, Madison. Hi, friends. Let's play a little game, the Word Blocks multiple choice quiz. First question, and you're on the clock. With what you now know about an astronomer, which of these is an astronomer likely to study? A. Marine life. B. Baseball astroturf. C. The constellations. D. The dinosaur era. You have 10 seconds to pick an option. Ready? Start the timer.